two best friends who are not equipped tell you a story about history. I'm Emileigh, and this is Morgan.
Guess what, guys? I'm sick again. Yay.
Yeah, she's sounding a little raspy. A little truck stop Betty-ish.
And I was going to attempt to do a voice, and I was like, that will be a bad idea.
Maybe don't.
Yeah. You guys
let's save that throat. Yeah. Save your vocals.
You guys get the low huskiness.
Nice. I like it. It's hot.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, I did a funny this weekend.
What did you do? After I left you, what did you do?
Yeah, you did just leave me. Now I'm sad again. We decided to take our dogs on the boat. And because my dogs don't like to get along with the neighbor dogs at my in-laws' house, we don't take them as often as we used to.
Mm-hmm.
And we took our dogs on the boat. We're very responsible pet owners. We walked them down on the leash, got them in the boat, got away from the dock, and then took them off the leashes because they're contained in the boat. And they got into some poison ivy on the riverbanks. And we went back to the house, got some Dawn dish soap because we've established I'm very allergic to poison ivy.
Yes.
So I was washing the dogs on the back of the boat on the swim platform, and Marin was nice and clean. I put her in the boat, and then it was Parker's turn, and I'm scrubbing down Parker, and we hear Marin start to bark. Well, we look over, and at the moment that she starts barking, we see what she's barking at, and it is unfortunately another dog on the riverbank. And we're like, it should be fine, right?
Where are you guys
it
at
wasn't
on the
fine.
river?
A little higher up, like a little upriver from Kevin and Nancy. So it was still like one of the neighbors. We were still in the neighborhood. We weren't far. We were just kind of floating. This dumbass, smooth brain herself, yeets herself off the side of the boat and just starts swimming like crazy to the riverbank. Now, mind you, this is raw 10-foot riverbank of fallen trees, branches, grass, rock, all sorts of shit. She had to climb over a fallen tree that was in the river to get to the riverbank. Well, we're all yelling at her to come back because it's like, God bless it, our dog's going to fight another neighbor dog, and then
it's going to be
that ain't going to be good. It's going to be a whole thing. I don't want to be a whole thing. And I get mad. And apparently, I got mad enough to jump in the river after her. So then I started swimming. I'm not thinking anything through. I'm thinking maybe I can get to my dog before she gets up the riverbank, right?
Right.
So, I'm not as fast as her. She has webbed feet.
Right.
So,
and 4 legs.
and 4 legs. And I'm thick. So I'm swimming as fast as I can. And I climb over. I'm sure she looked a lot better climbing over that fallen tree than I did. But you know what? I did it. And then she climbs the entire 10-foot riverbank. So then, barefoot and nothing but a bikini, I climb the 10-foot riverbank. And I get to the top. She's already at the top. And they're just having a staring competition at this point. I think they were waiting for the other one to make a move. So I'm sure the perspective from this looks ridiculous because I poke my head up from something that shouldn't be climbable, reach over, grab her back leg, and just yank her back down. I just yank her. And she's probably like, I mean, I don't throw her down a 10-foot thing. I catch her, like I hold her. And then down the muddy ass freaking side we climb. I mean, on the way up, I was breaking tree limbs to get to this freaking dog. So we get down to the bottom, and then my worst nightmare comes true. It's bad enough that my husband, my father-in-law, and my husband friend saw all of this. Me going like mad mom mode. The neighbor pokes his head over the side and was like, "Are you good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just winded. I'm fine."
Kind of trying to control this weird, dumbass dog who I'm imagining is either so shocked she is like comatose, or she is just writhing around to the most of her ability, like, what's happening?
She was actually surprisingly pretty calm. I think she felt my anger at her, and she was like, okay, maybe I need to go get in the boat, because she not once offered to go back up there. Not once. She was like, shit, I have fucked up.
I done messed up now.
I messed up. So we got on the boat, and I climbed myself up there, and I get my beer because I'm thirsty, mostly.
Yeah.
And I look down, my legs are just massacred. I mean, I ended up taking one of the boat cleaning towels and tying around my leg to, like, stop the bleeding. And then I went to a wedding that night with a short dress, so I look real nice.
With your legs mauled to death.
Mauled as shit. People were like, I was almost late to the wedding because Nick didn't get me back to the dock until 3:15. The wedding was at 4:30. It was like a 40-minute drive. I got ready in 20 minutes, and that included makeup and curling my hair. Don't ask me what voodoo magic I did, but I did it.
It's very impressive.
And people were like, "What? Where are you?" I was like texting my dad, like, "Save me a seat." And people were like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, "It's a long story." Yeah, so that was my Saturday.
That's very eventful. I didn't do anything. Did I do anything this weekend? No.
Do you want a dog? She'll spice up your life.
No,
you sure?
I'm okay with mine, thanks.
Oh, damn it. She's so great. I love her so much. But why is she like this? Why?
Smooth brain.
Smooth brain. All thoughts just slide right off.
No wrinkles or bumps, no valleys or lumps.
Like a water slide. So, thankfully, nothing else eventful.
Yeah, I went to the doctor yesterday. I don't have COVID, and I don't have the flu. They're like, it's something viral. We don't know.
Oh, no.
So I got cough syrup and stuff for my dizziness, and I'm really hoping it doesn't turn into bronchitis again, because I don't want it to have bronchitis again.
No. Hopefully you caught it in enough time.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
I feel like this cough syrup isn't really working, though.
Have you tried just alcohol? That's
just breathe in alcohol to sterilize my lungs.
Just go get you a hot toddy.
I'm drinking hot tea right now to try to help. It's not.
Yeah. What else in a hot toddy again? It's like honey and hot tea and
bourbon, I think.
Bourbon? Yeah.
And cinnamon.
I got
like cinnamon sticks if you have them.
I mean, I'm telling on people here. I got my first shot way too young because of a sore throat. So
I remember your mom telling me this story.
Yeah. Yeah. Turns out I liked it too, so that was a problem.
And she went, "All hail."
Oh, hell. I asked for another. "Please, sir, can I have some more?"
Were you like 8 or something? You're like, "That's pretty
I was 13.
good." 13, okay.
13. And I had a cough kind of like what you've got. And I went, it snowed. And here in Tennessee, that's like well, except for the past few years, that's like a rarity. So we went up to the mountains and we went sledding. And because of, the cold and exertion and stuff, the cough got worse. And Mom was like, "Okay, fine. I'll break down. I'll do it. I'll give her one shot." And Dad was like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." And here we are today. So, okay. You ready to get into it?
Let's do the skit.
Yeah. It's 1970 in London. Tim Staffel has just announced to his band, Smile, that he is leaving for another band.
What the hell? You're the lead singer.
Sorry, I just know I'll hit it big with this other band.
Oh, and you won't hit it big with us?
That's not what I meant. Never mind. I'm fucking out of here.
What the hell are we going to do now? Well, there's Freddie. That guy has a set of pipes on him. The guy that you have that shop with? You think he could? We have a gig this weekend. Oh, hell yeah. I'll call him up now.
The band Smile would go on to be one of the biggest rock and roll bands in history. This is thanks to the small name change to Queen and their new lead singer, Freddie Mercury.
Oh my god.
Don't stop me now.
Don't stop me, cause I'm having a good time.
Having a good time. Oh,
I love that song. I love Queen.
I do too. Okay, one thing I did not know. I didn't really delve into like a lot of their older songs growing up. I just kind of, hit the top, I don't know, 10-ish songs that they have.
Yeah.
And their songs are fantasy as fuck. They had songs talking about the Rat King and ogre battles and the Fae King and other shit. That's like incredible. That. And it is so cool.
Oh, I want to hear it. That sounds awesome.
It's cool. It's like, imagine they're like more rock and roll style, but like an ogre battle.
That's awesome.
It's so cool. I love it. So, today we're talking about Freddie Mercury. And a lot about Queen, but mostly focusing on Freddie's life.
Yay.
Yay! And for formatting purposes, I didn't really know how else to do this. So I'll be going a little bit back and forth between like his career and his love life. Mm-hmm. And with his love life, I might like speed forward just a little bit, but then we'll go back and, talk about his career. The documentaries I found really either went into hard just his career, didn't really talk about his personal life other than like the cause of his death and stuff like that. Other than one documentary I found that was literally called like Freddie's Lovers, and it was all about his personal life and like interviews with his ex-lovers and so on and so forth. It was older, and I don't think it was done as tastefully as it could have been done. There for a couple minutes they were just talking about his dick. So
I'm sure you know a lot more about his dick than you ever wanted to.
Well, I've already seen Flea's dick, so I feel like all rock and roll stars, I should just know all about it. Why not? Why the fuck not?
All right, rock stars, I'll line up so Emily can look and learn about your dick.
Just send me unsolicited dick pics, please. Don't. That is not consent.
Don't do that.
I do not consent to that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
But I'm like, I don't need to know that. But most of it was done very well. And he was a very private person anyway. And we'll get into that. But that's the most you're going to hear about his dick from me.
Okay. That you learned about it.
That I learned about it. So let's get into his childhood, his early life.
Let's do it.
So he was born Farrokh Bulsara on November the 5th of 1946 in Stone Town, Zanzibar.
Zanzibar.
We've talked about Zanzibar, so if you want to hear all about that in a very short war, go back to whatever episode that was. His father was Bami Bulsara, who was born and raised in Mumbai, India. Him and his family, 8 brothers total, settled in Zanzibar, where he eventually worked as the High Court cashier for the British government and often returned to India for business. On one of those trips, he met Jer, I'm assuming, J-E-R, Jer, or Jer. But she came back with him to Zanzibar. Freddie was born, and then 6 years later, he had a sister, Kashmira. And Freddie was born with 4 extra teeth in the back of his mouth, and that is what caused his now famous, like, bucktooth grin.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, his nickname was Bucky.
Aww.
I know. I don't know if they meant it maliciously. I don't know if he, like, was okay with it or not. But it was. It is what it is. And he never got his teeth fixed. He was afraid it would ruin his vocals.
Mm-hmm.
So he just ran with it.
You don't want to mess with those vocals.
God, no. So in 1951, he was the family moved back to India. So both of his parents were from India. He just happened to be born in Zanzibar. And then they moved back to India, where he was sent to St. Peter's boarding school at 6 years old. And the English-speaking kids at his school started calling him Freddie. And that's where he got Freddie from. And he was really good at hockey, tennis, boxing. He was very sporty. But his real passion was singing and taking piano lessons. And in 1958, him and 4 fellow classmates started a rock group called the Hectics.
Cute.
Which is an awesome name for a band.
That is an awesome name.
And they are adorable. I don't remember if I didn't put a picture of the band, but you can see him in his little schoolboy outfit.
He's so cute.
I know. And they would play and sing at school discos, and everywhere they were welcome, really. He graduated from that school in 1963. So even though he spent most of his childhood in India, he returned to Zanzibar with his family in 1963. But they had to flee Zanzibar in 1964 thanks to the revolution. So now, instead of fleeing to India, they went to London. And this is where he feels like, I feel like his life really took off. One of the documentaries stated, like, one of the guys in the documentary stated that if he could have been born in London at 18 years old, he would have. Like, this is where Freddie started to become Freddie. So in 1965, Freddie became a student at the College Ealing, where he studied painting and design and continued his music and ballet lessons and stuff like that. During this time, him and a friend / fellow musician, Chris Smith, rented a place in Kensington. He then met Tim Staffel, the same one we talked about in the skit, who at the time was the lead singer of the group Smile. He began to visit the group's rehearsals with the drummer, Roger Taylor. And he really felt like he belonged in this band. You know, that, like, gut feeling that, like, these are my people.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how he felt. So he's not really part of the band right now, but he's hanging out with everyone. And In 1969, he became part of the group called Ibex from Liverpool. And with this group, he went to his first ever concert in Bolton. He was hooked. Unfortunately, the band broke up pretty quickly. He then went out and found a new group in the newspaper called Sour Milk Tea. Yeah. And they took him in, of course, because of his 4-octave range. He was a wonderful singer. That year, he graduated with his graphic designer degree, and him and the band member, Roger Taylor from Smile, opened a storefront and sold secondhand clothing. So he was really into fashion back then. And in the same year, he had a very busy year. In 1969, he met Mary Austin. So Mary had actually been seeing Brian May, who was part of Smile, before she started seeing Freddie. She had worked at Bieber, which was a London boutique in Kensington, and Freddie was very shy at this point and would wave at her every time the band visited. And Brian ended up confessing to Freddie that he's like, hey, I know you're really attracted to Mary. We've only been on a handful of dates. I've only kissed her on the cheek. Gave him the green light to ask her on a date, which was really sweet.
That is sweet.
So he did. He asked her on a date, and it was a very deep and emotional attachment from the start. So 5 months after they met, they were living together.
That's pretty fast, yeah.
I'm going to give away a little bit of it later, but surely by now y'all know Freddie's life. But they dated for 6 years, and she became suspicious that Freddie was at unrest with himself, and Freddie confessed his bisexuality to her after 6 years. She described the moment as relief. He was much more comfortable with himself after telling her. And even though they did end up going their separate ways as far as being a couple, but they remained inseparable. So throughout the rest of his life, even if I don't mention her, she's there the entire time.
Aww.
And
Mary.
The documentary said they lived the vows they never made.
She ended up goosebump from that.
I know. She went on, got married, had kids, but was still there. And he actually became the godfather to her older son, Richard.
Aww.
And she was there and took care of him as he died, was there the entire time.
Aww. More goosebumps.
I know. So, that was 1969, the summer of love. So what happened in 1970? So, like in the skit, 1970, Freddie joined Smile along with Roger Taylor and Brian May. After Tim was like, bye, peace, I'm out of here. And a year later, in 1971, they were joined by bass guitarist John Deacon. These are the members of Queen. And so we had Freddie Mercury as the lead singer and pianist, Brian May as guitarist, John Deacon as bass, and Roger Taylor as the drummer. So they were still Smile at this point. Mm-hmm. And Freddie suggested that they needed a name change, really. So he suggested Queen. And he wanted it to reflect his own androgynous style and be pompous, provocative, kind of outrageous.
Yeah.
Because a band of 4 men
named Queen. I love it.
I do too. Freddie, remember, has a design degree, an art degree. So he actually designed the group's emblem with the letter Q in the middle and the zodiac signs of the 4 band members around it. I do have a picture of that.
cute.
If you scroll down. Yeah. He made that.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got 2 lions, a crab, and then is this a...
Yes. 2 fairies were for Freddie. I don't know.
What's the... Is that a phoenix, or...
I guess so. Okay. They only mention the crab, the lions, and the fairies.
Okay. Is it because Freddie was... I did the limp wrist.
I don't know. Hold on. What zodiac is fairy?
I don't think fairy is a zodiac.
I didn't think it was.
Like, lions are Leo, and then crab is...
Zodiac signs is fairy. It says Leo.
Oh. Well, that's lion. I don't know.
But I know the documentary said that, well, now if I put in 2 fairies, it says Gemini, but I know that's not Gemini because I'm a Gemini.
Well, Gemini's twins.
Yeah. But he was born in November.
Which that's... I don't have the...
That's Scorpio. He was
a scorpion. Maybe he wanted to do fairies instead of scorpions. I don't know.
You know what? He's Freddie fucking Mercury.
He can do what he wants.
Fairies. That's right. Anyway. So in 1971, Queen signed with producers John Anthony and Roy Thomas Baker from London Trident Studios. They took the logo to the creative services manager. And the creative services manager was like, literally, this is rubbish. I can't do shit with this. And Queen was like, too fucking bad. It's our logo.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
It's fucking epic.
You don't get the vibe, man. So, it really embodied what they were going for. So, they were like, this is it. So, after they signed with the producers, they were like, you still need a record label. So, Jack Nelson, who was their manager representing Trident Studios, offered some tracks to Roy Featherston, who was the general manager of the pop division for EMI Records. It was a very long title. And they got the tapes and they listened to it and they were like, we don't know what to do with this. Like, what the fuck is this?
What is this?
Glam rock. Yeah, glam rock was coming up, but they were somewhere like in between genres, and they signed them anyway. They're like, sure. Why not? This next one's rise in popularity. A little bit about their performances. They added theatricality to rock. I mean, David Bowie did this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Queen, Freddie Mercury, oh my God. He performed like he was on the big stage. Even if he was on these tiny little venues, he was like,
bigger than life.
A stadium to me. And they always wore black and white, and they referred to Freddie's outfits as Freddie's frocks. And I love it.
I love that.
I love it. And one guy in the documentary said, if I had to describe in one word what Freddie's performances were, or like how describe it in like him in one word, y'all know what I mean. He said strut. Because he would just, I mean, he was strutting. So he loved all the grand and exotic outfits, even like off stage. And he wanted it all to be very good quality. And he had an amazing talent to work the audience. He got them just fucking engaged.
I mean,
and
We Will Rock You is one of the best, like, stadium, like, anthems of all time.
Yeah. And they only use the drums and his voice in that song. That's it.
Yeah, until like the very end where it's like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
But everything else is like the audience like doing the boom 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 boom, which I love it.
Oh my god. I'll tell you all. I watched the whole Live Aid like thing, and oh my god, I'll tell you more about Live Aid later. Okay. So, yeah, I'm like jazzed up. I'm strutting. Okay, so one of the documentaries quoted that no one knew who they were, but Freddie knew who they were. Like he just was on it from the very beginning. And in 1972, he legally changed his name to Freddie Mercury. He was going by that, but, you know, legally.
Did it ever say why he chose Mercury as his surname?
No. I think they said something to do with, like, why?
Sorry, I keep throwing you off.
No. It was inspired by Mother Mercury from one of his songs, My Fairy King.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. There we go. Yeah. I actually meant to look that up, so thank you. I want it to be clear, he was still very fond of his family. He didn't speak a whole lot about his past, like, publicly, but he still had a very good relationship with his family. And he was just embracing the, like, lifestyle. So the name change wasn't really anything to do with distancing himself from his family. He just wanted to be Freddie Mercury.
It's like a persona almost, but like he became the persona.
Yes. And at this point in his personal life, he is still very shy, reserved, not like blocked off or anything, but he's, you know,
introverted.
Kind of introverted. Yeah, he's shy. You got to get to know him first. So they released their first self-titled album on July the 13th of 1973. So this one was very fairy ogre. I loved it. So Freddie actually said that each song is in its own category. So they are pretty different. And they were very good at that. You never knew what the hell they were going to come out with next. One of their producers, because they were interviewing some people very close to them. Back then, you didn't have great expectations for their first album. Typically, a first album is like a flop. I mean, anything you do, you have to build your listenership.
Right.
And the first one for Queen actually went okay. By 3 or 4 months, they made a pretty modest impact. So, in March of 1974, Queen 2 was released. And the biggest song on that album was The 7 Seas of Rye, which still is very fantasy. I love it. I love it. So, we're getting up. We're rising into popularity. But who was he off stage? And what's the media thinking about it? And what's the climate in London? So he was kind and affectionate and always checking on people, and felt that way about his fans as well. He always wanted everyone to have a good time. And he considered himself the mother of the group and pretty much took care of all of those around him. He was a very sweet, loving man. At first, he wasn't very promiscuous. People said he was a serial love kind of a person, where he always wanted to feel the love from people. And that's actually where the song Somebody to Love came from. And a lot of people didn't think, oh my God.
I, like, after I watched the movie Bohemian Rhapsody and I heard that song, I was like, oh, I'm gonna cry every time I hear this song.
I love it.
I love that song. I belted out.
Also, do you think it's funny that this past week we just did a perfect rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody in Lou's car on the way to the breakout thing? And here we are. Yeah, here we are. So, he didn't want just one person to love. He was happy having multiple partners. But I think a lot of times his partners weren't very happy with him having multiple partners.
You know, and that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. And you know what? I just wanted to shout out the photographer that was in one of these documentaries said that he knew a good amount of people that Freddie had relations with, but he wouldn't name them because if he didn't want to talk about it, that guy wasn't going to talk about it.
We love a discreet.
Yes. He said it was never their fucking business. And he said that. It's like,
love that.
You're right. So shout out to you. Sorry I didn't catch your name. So the media, how are they handling this? And this is kind of broad. I just felt like this was the best place to put it. Not all the national and international media liked the vibe they were going for. Because even though we just got out of, 1969, Summer of Love, 1970 is still very open. Mm-hmm. Freddie was... The band, and especially Freddie, was really in the line of fire because of the extravagance. Yeah. And he was an extremely private person, and this led to just rumors about lifestyle and sexuality. And he was very hesitant to give interviews, and him and journalists had a tumultuous relationship throughout his entire career.
Well, I'm sure, because, the journalists were waiting to, oh, we've got him from an interview, he's trapped with us, let's ask him all these super risque questions and stuff, and he's like, it's none of y'all's business, I don't want to be put in that situation in the first place.
Yeah. Can you ask me questions about the music? That would be great. So, the band actually said that they didn't really take a lot of it seriously, even though they did end up having to blacklist some journalists because of the way, they were just mean to these men. But they didn't take it very seriously because Rolling Stones would go from hating them to loving them to hating them to loving them. And it's like, Jesus, make up your mind. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the journalists just didn't care and wouldn't ask, but it was those certain ones, And one journalist who was interviewed said, we knew he had his girlfriend, and then in later years, he had his boyfriends, but that was just Freddie. I loved her. And someone asked him once who he slept with, and he said, girls, boys, and cats as well.
Oh, no.
And they left him alone after that. Cats as well. So, let's look at the climate in London, and I don't mean the weather.
Right.
Before we get back into his life. So, the guy's name was Mick Rock. The guy that ain't spilling no tea. No secrets.
Discreet king.
Yeah. So, he said that David Bowie made androgyny and bisexuality very fashionable and popular in the area and during the time. And he said that during this time, straight men would actually dress and act like David just because you got hotter chicks like that. It was a thing to do.
I actually just saw a headline. I didn't read it, so I don't know if it's true, but a headline recently about men who are slightly a little bit more feminine. They have a lot more success obtaining female partners and having long-term relationships than hyper masculine men.
Huh.
So, and it's not saying girly, but just men with a softer side, or maybe a little bit more sensitive, or a little playing a little bit more with androgyny and stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Look, and I love a good masculinity as long as it's not toxic.
Yeah,
but I like a softer side.
Yeah, there's a whole spectrum of masculinity to explore and play with, and it doesn't have to be just one kind.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But he still knew he was kind of an outsider. Because of his teeth, unfortunately, didn't give him that, perfect pop star look. He was from Zanzibar. There had never been a damn pop star from Zanzibar before.
Right.
And he was bisexual on top of that. So he's got a lot kind of batting against him. But in London, it didn't really matter at the time. So now on to their first big hit. In 1974, Sheer Heart Attack was released. And the song Killer Queen was their first big hit.
She's
a
same
year.
Queen. Oh, my voice.
Dynamite with a laser beam. Guaranteed to blow your mind.
Anytime.
So they performed that song on the popular BBC show Top of the Pops. When you say pops like that, it makes me think of like a grandpa.
You have to say it with a British accent.
Top of the Pops. What was the head bump? Why did I say it like I was trying to say like top of the morning?
Top of the Pops.
I'm blaming the third glass of wine. Okay. Yeah. So, the song, Killer Queen, was so different than anything that was really out at the time. It was, like, mind-blowing. And if y'all haven't heard it, honestly, shame on you. But, like, go listen to it.
Pause right here. Go listen to it and
now.
then come back to us. It's great.
We're going to do that a lot, actually. But anyway, so the contrast between, like, his theatrics and the hard guitar that, like, Brian would... Because, I mean, it is killer guitar. And this is the song that actually broke into America and was the biggest hit in England at the time. So, his producer, Eric... Apparently, Freddie had a crush on Eric.
Oh.
And Freddie brought Killer Queen into the studio and was like, hey, into his office. Like, I need you to listen to this because Eric was in charge of, like, getting his songs popular. So he's like, I need you to listen to this. So he's like, okay, cool. They listen to it. Eric's like, great. I love it. I can sell this. This is awesome. It's going to be a hit. And Freddie's like, no. I need you to listen to it again. And, like, played it again. And Eric's like, cool. I got it. And he's like, no. The song's about you. And he's like, what? Played it again, and he was like, oh my God. Apparently, so she keeps her Monday and Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Apparently, Eric kept champagne in a really nice cabinet in his office. And, like, he had a perm, so hair like Marie Antoinette. And the song's about him, apparently.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine, like, living the rest of your life and say Freddie Mercury wrote a song about me?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
And it'd be Killer Queen. So apparently it's supposed to be like Freddie is the queen and Eric's killing him because he can't have him because Eric was straight. I know, and like other people have verified the story. I heard in 2 separate documentaries Eric tell the same story.
Okay.
So and there are plenty of pictures with them together.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So that's all I got to say about that. But I love that song. So in 1975, they toured Japan. Freddie fell in love with the Japanese culture and started collecting Japanese art. So in 1975, they released Night at the Opera, which was a fusion rock, glam rock kind of... It's very... Like if opera rock... Well, it is a thing now because they did it, but like it's a thing.
Right.
Songs like Love of My Life, You're My Best Friend, and Bohemian Rhapsody were on this album.
I love all three of those songs.
And Love of My Life was dedicated to Mary Austin. Because it was about this time that they're breaking up. I think I talk a little bit more about it. But, yeah. So, I love You're My Best Friend. Mm-hmm. It's such a good song. So, as far as Bohemian Rhapsody...
Sorry.
You're my best friend. The producers were concerned that that they didn't know what the fuck to do with Bohemian Rhapsody. It was 3 times the length of a normal song, and it wasn't just a song, but it wasn't an opera. It was like a piece. It was like
it's
what is
Bohemian
this?
Rhapsody. Like there's you can't just describe it.
No. So they wanted them to edit it, like, and make it shorter and like better. And they were like, no,
it's perfect just the way it is.
They released the entire thing, and Bohemian Rhapsody hit number 1 in Britain, in England, and remained there for 9 weeks, and was in the top 10 in the United States. And although it was the biggest hit of the millennium, no one except the members of Queen knew exactly what the lyrics meant. And I don't think most people know now.
It's just fun to sing along to.
It is. And Kenny Everett, who worked at Capitol Radio at the time, was one of the leading people who got this song popular. And it was selling like 60,000 records like a day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. For the music video, they used a different music video person. And a normal music video at the time would cost $400 to $500. And Freddie was like, nah, that ain't enough. I need to go above and beyond. This one costs like $4,000 to $5,000.
Shit.
But it revolutionized the way that music was consumed, like in video format. Because before it was like them taking a video
of them
playing the song.
Right.
I mean, but now, and yes, that's still kind of what it is, but all the like different
stuff that goes on.
I literally stopped the documentary and went and watched it because I don't think I'd ever seen it all the way through. And yeah, from today's point of view, she'd be a little cheesy.
Yeah.
But for 1975, oh my God.
Revolutionary.
I mean, what song is it that my parents love so much that I love to make fun of the video? Because it's just dolphins.
Oh, what was that song? You just showed it to me.
Cool Change or something like that?
Something like that.
It's like Cool Change. It's just a replay of dolphins jumping out of the water. Like, this was revolutionary. I'm still laughing at the one.
Do you remember when we were in high school and we would like... Sorry, my voice is giving out. We would just like stay up late and just watch like the corniest music videos that we could find.
Yes. We do that now.
We still do that.
Joe D. Messina.
Every time I
rearview mirror.
Her in that review mirror. Every time I hear that song, I'm like, where is she? Where's Jody?
She's appearing. as she's driving her own car away, she is, if y'all haven't seen the video, she's driving her own car away. She throws the rear view mirror out the side window, but her reflection is still in the mirror. And
as she drives away,
figure out what voodoo magic happened.
The song is Bye Bye by Jody Messina. It's a great song.
Look it up. Look it up. Okay, so Freddie said Bohemian Rhapsody was meant to be 3 songs, and he couldn't finish them. So he thought, quote, "Oh, damn it. I'll just put the 3 together."
I love that.
Also, little sidebar about Bohemian Rhapsody. People kept asking why he used the word Beelzebub. And it turns out he just really liked the word. He said it's a funny word. So he added it into the song.
That's great.
He said that in an interview. So, okay. Pause on the career. Just look at his love life right now. What's happening right now. Okay. So, around this time, he met a guy named David Menz, and he was a record company executive. They started seeing each other. They spent 3 years together. Him and Mary were still together at the time. Apparently, Freddie told David that him and Mary were just roommates. But David kind of found out. After Bohemian Rhapsody, he threw caution to the wind, and this is kind of when his pop star lifestyle started taking hold over the shy Freddie. Mm-hmm. And when he came out as bisexual to Mary, to be with David, Mary's like, I don't think you're bisexual. I think you're gay. And I hope we can still be friends. And of course they were. Mm-hmm. But people think him and David loved each other. And apparently Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy was about their relationship.
Okay.
But, yeah, he would, so at the time, Mary and him broke up. He's now with David. But, of course, Mary's still there. He would take David and Mary to events together and just confuse the hell out of the press. Which, I loved it. And David said he kind of knew he was having flings with other people. So, and this is about the same time that the parties started happening.
Okay.
About 85% of the time, he would bring someone home. And I don't know at what point that was. Probably between relationships, I would say. But he had some of the most famous parties in the world. And the band once hired a brothel and then paid for half so that anyone who wanted to participate in the brothel activities got half off. Just out of the kindness of their hearts.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's a way to throw a party, for sure.
Yep. And he discovered cocaine.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it all the time. Like, the cocaine never came back up again. I don't think it turned into a problem for him.
Okay.
So, I guess good for him.
Yeah.
So, We Will Rock You. So this is the time that their look started to change a little bit. He would come out in like a big ass crown and a cape, and he just owned it. He just owned it. And I mean, this is when he's really strutting. He is.
Right.
And he enunciated so well when he sang that like these huge audiences never had a problem hearing what he's singing. So he puts on a great show. So in 1977, News of the World comes out, that album. And We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions were on that album. And We Will Rock You wanted to give the audience a way to like perform themselves. And that's why they don't use very many instruments. And We Are the Champions became the biggest sport anthem of all time.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it probably still is.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't think of another song that's played more than We Are the Champions when someone wins.
Yeah. Yep. And on November 10th of 1978, so they are fucking they're like an album a year, which is crazy. The album Jazz was released. And Don't Stop Me Now and Fat Bottom Girls were the two big hits from that one. And I love Fat Bottom Girls.
Those are two more great ones.
Oh my God. Just banger after banger, really.
Don't Stop Me Now, like, will lift me out of any depression I'm feeling. I'm just like, don't stop me now.
Yeah. And if I hear Fat Bottom Girls come on, I don't care if I'm in the middle of a conversation. I will stop the conversation, turn it up, and belt it from my soul. I love that song.
You and your hams.
My hams. I feel seen, okay? So in 1979, he ended up playing for the Royal Ballet.
Ooh.
And he performed Bohemian Rhapsody and A Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And this was when he got his short haircut. It was a big day when he got his short haircut.
I'm gonna be honest, like, I really like his short hair mustache look. He pulls it off like no other.
Too. I know. I love it. I wasn't really big into like the big hair.
Yeah.
Either.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
On anyone. It's a lot.
I like Slash's long hair, and I don't know why. Other than I guess it looks less hairspray-y.
Well, and I think with Slash, like, it's such a part of his just, like, who he is as a person, I feel like. You can't separate the two at all.
It's so pretty, too, and curly and beautiful. So, anyway, so around this time, Freddie went to America, and when he came back, he told David he had found someone else.
Oh,
and,
David.
Well, Freddie had the idea that maybe David was going to be kind of like Mary and stay in his life, even though that was kind of a rarity. And David just wasn't like that. So,
yeah.
David left. And then Joe, who was a sous chef from America, came over. But unfortunately, Joe was young, kind of naive. He didn't like the big rock star lifestyle. And they ended up splitting up not too long after they got together. But then Joe stuck around and was his personal chef.
Oh, wow.
Stayed a close friend. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep. So Freddie went to, around this time, an LA biker gang and met Vince Barman, who worked there. And 3 weeks later, they started a relationship, but Vince wouldn't go on tour with him. So that relationship ended. And by 1980, he had gone to New York, and he was really able to go out where people didn't know him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to bars like the Anvil. And this is the catalyst for him going from leotards to the leathers and the mustache look.
Gotcha.
And people said he kind of based his look off of one of the people from the... Oh my God, I didn't write it down and I forgot. Who sings YMCA?
Oh gosh.
Shit.
I can't think of it.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Village People.
The Village People. Damn it. Okay. Anyway, so one of those had the mustache, the leathers, the whole nine. So he kind of based himself off of that from that point. And him and a guy who went by Thor, they had intentions of having a one night stand.
Okay.
But it didn't turn into a one night stand thanks to alcohol. If you're catching my drift.
Yeah.
So they were like, you know what? Maybe this relationship isn't a sexual one. And they just became good friends.
Aw,
and
cute.
they just, I know, and I love it so much. They were like, you know what? It didn't work out. It's fine. We'll just be friends. So
he's just making
really
friends
funny.
left and right. It's great.
I know. Well, he's a nice guy. Even through all of this, even through like peak pop star fandom and all that, where it really like makes a lot of celebrities assholes.
Yeah.
He was still like considered himself the mother of the group. He gave all of his friends, like his guy friends, like girl nicknames. Like Eric was Sophie. And Freddie called him Sophie until the day he died. Like, it's super cute. And they all had matching mustaches.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The whole group of them. It was great. In 1980, The Game was released. And this album had Crazy Little Thing Called Love and Another One Bites the Dust.
Yeah. I love both of those songs, too.
Oh, my God. They're so good. So in 1981, David Bowie and Queen, who had been longtime friends, by the way, because of course they had, collaborated and made Under Pressure. Pushing down on me, pushing down on you. And I think this is the most we've ever sung in an episode. I swear to God. So
it's very singable.
It's a very singable episode. It hit number 1 in Britain.
Love that
Of course
song.
it did. In 1982, he met Bill Reed, who was a lover for a year. Bill was kind of violent, though.
Oh, no.
And he ended up biting Freddie on the hand the night before a performance.
Oh, no.
And he was like, that's the end of that. We're done. Nope.
Oh, I'm glad he got out of that. That's awful.
Me too. And they kept saying that Freddie kind of seemed like the kind of person who needed some conflict in his life to inspire some things, some songs, and you know, that might not be the healthiest thing, but you know, he wrote some killer songs.
Imagine
with it.
the level of like just depravity it takes you to bite someone, like out of anger. What is that?
Yeah.
I've never had the urge to like, I'm so angry at someone, I have to bite them.
When I get angry, I just cry. Like,
Yeah.
No.
I'm glad he got out of that.
No. I might be angry and I might want to bite a brownie. I didn't get these hands from not stress eating. So, let's take a step away again. I know I keep pulling you guys away from Freddie, but AIDS is becoming a problem. So let's take a quick look into that. So in 1983, one of Freddie's friends came up to him at a nightclub and was like, hey, in light of this new disease, it had no name yet. So in light of this new disease, are you planning on making any lifestyle changes? Because I feel like you should. Because that's what a good friend does, is bring some shit to attention. And his response was, quote, "Darling, my attitude is fuck it. I'm doing everything with everybody." And his friend said he's only had that sinking feeling twice in his life, and that was one of those times that he knew that, like, we're gonna lose Freddie to this.
I'm so sad.
I know. And the same guy said that it's really easy to look back on decades with knowledge that we have now.
Right, hindsight's 2020.
Of course. And that it was very unfair, not by anyone's fault, but it was very unfair to those who died from AIDS in that first wave, because they didn't even know at all. They didn't know what they were doing was unsafe. And the 70s was an era of sexual expression and, you know, promiscuity.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, there was a quarter of the century where everything, all the diseases that you could get sexually were treatable thanks to penicillin. Like, people were having sex like it was no tomorrow, and they didn't know. Yeah. So with AIDS, there can be, on average, a 10-year incubation period between infection and symptoms. And he, theoretically, because, again, he's a very private person, if he started showing signs in the late 80s, if he had an average incubation period, it would have been consistent with his lifestyle in the 70s. Yeah. So that's only if it was an average case. And he was one of those people that didn't want to be out in the public. And there were so many people, I mean, millions of people died from this, that you couldn't even mourn everyone like how they deserve to be mourned, because you had another friend right next to you dying from it as well.
Right. Oh, it's so sad.
By this time, in early 80s, 1983, the Queen had really scaled back. And if you watch the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, they make it seem like it was the band, really.
It seems like they put it on Freddie, like he was like self-destructing to the point the band couldn't function, which from what I read, that's not really true.
It's not, I don't think, at all. I mean, every documentary I watched said that they stood by him until the end. And they stood by him, and I don't think it was Freddie. I think, honestly, they probably needed a break. And then with Freddie, like, they didn't even know until closer to the end that they were told, everyone was told it was a liver disease at first. And I don't know exactly when he started showing real symptoms, but he continued to work. So in 1984, The Works was released, and that's songs like Radio Gaga and I Want to Break Free. And I think mainly this is the biggest catalyst for them taking a break, is because I Want to Break Free was popular. And in the music video, all 4 members of the band, 3 of which are very straight, dressed as women to pass the message of oppression. And it's the cutest video.
It's really cute, yeah.
It got banned in the United States. And that really killed Queen in the United States.
Yeah.
And after this, he was like, you know what? I think I just want to do like a solo album or 2, you know? So Freddie decided to go to Munich, Germany. Why, I don't know. But Munich sounded good, right?
All right, yeah.
So he started seeing Barbara Valentine. A woman.
Okay.
So
Well,
people were kind of surprised by this.
Well, he identified as bisexual, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't
makes
think
sense.
I think back then it surprised everyone, probably because he had been seeing men for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they mentioned behind closed doors he was sleeping with men and women.
Mm-hmm. The sleeping with men caused more of a scandal, I'm sure.
I think back then people could not wrap their brains as well around bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, you're either gay or you're not.
Right.
You have to fit into the box.
Right.
And that's just kind of not what he did.
It's all on the spectrum.
Spectrum. So, she was very outrageous and was considered the Queen of Munich and was very promiscuous as well. And they loved each other. They lived together with her daughter. And Barbara's daughter said that Freddie was the love of her life.
Aww.
So, the Queen had Barbara in a music video. And it was very outrageous, kind of. I think it was finally a little too much for the rest of the band. I mean, Brian, Roger, and John look kind of miserable in that music video. So I think that was another catalyst for them to be like, I think I'm just going to do a solo album.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, after I think a couple of years, Barbara and him split because he found another man, Winnie Kirkberg, who's a 33-year-old restaurateur. Barbara was very understanding, like Mary was, when he met another man. So, Winnie and Freddie did not speak the same language. So they had, like, an interpreter, I guess. I don't know. But in 1985, Freddie and Jim Hutton started a relationship that would last until his death.
Okay.
And Jim Hutton was his gardener, but he was still with Winnie at the time. And Jim was like, nah, I don't want to date you. And Freddie's like, pursuing. And Jim's like, no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually Freddie had him come around, like, convinced him. And he was like, look, you're going to have to choose between Winnie and me. And Freddie chose Jim. Broke up with Winnie. And the single Love Kills and the album Mr. Bad Guy, which he recorded during this time. And Mr. Bad Guy was dedicated to his cats.
I love that.
I love it too.
You're both Mr. Bad Guys.
So on July 13th of 1985, the Queen got back together. They weren't really broken up. They just performed together again.
Yeah.
In the grand show at Wembley Stadium called Live Aid. And Live Aid I don't think it had anything to do with AIDS. I think it was a show that they put on to raise money for other countries.
Okay.
Basically. So,
but not necessarily for, like, AIDS research, just, like, to aid other countries.
Yes, to aid other countries.
Okay, that was my understanding of it. Like, it's
mine
a charity.
As well. For famine relief in Ethiopia.
Okay.
So, Queen, even though there were tons of top performers, Queen was the highlight of the program. And he sang all their greatest hits. I literally stopped the documentary again. You can just look up the Live Aid performance.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, it's the best. People say it is the best performance Queen ever did. And I agree. It's chilling.
I would risk being in that crowd to watch the Live Aid performance. Like, hate crowds. I would die in a crowd like that if it was not for Freddie Mercury and Queen.
I would elbow a lot of people so you could
thank you
comfortably be in there. You're
thank
welcome.
You.
My daughter came up to me while I was watching it, and she was like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "It's Queen." And she's like, "I love them." She sat and watched the entire performance with me. Like, I have a picture of her with her hands on her chin watching my computer. Oh, she loved it. She said, "He sings really good." It's like, he does.
That's amazing for a 5-year-old to just like sit and watch this performance from like the 80s for its entirety. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was like 20 minutes. She loved it. So he, again, was so good with crowd control. And if you watch that performance, he has that crowd eating out of the palm of his
wrapped
hands.
around all of his fingers. Like,
yeah. He's doing like impromptu duets with the cameraman. He's doing like, ayo, and like callbacks and stuff. And he's doing like complicated ass callbacks, and they're just doing it. It's amazing. And apparently Jim is such a sweetie. Oh my God. Because they interviewed him too. And he said when he saw Live Aid on TV, he was like, "That's my man."
Oh,
I know. So could you imagine going on and performing after Queen at Live Aid?
No.
No. So, in 1986, the band had their last tour called Magic Tour. It would be Magic Tour after the beginning of their career was like ogre battles.
Did they play their original songs about fairies and ogres?
I hope so. I think, honestly, throughout their entire career, they had just weird-ass songs in there, and I love it. So, this was the last time that Freddie toured with them. 120,000 fans gathered at Wembley Stadium for this tour.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that was it. That was the last tour with Queen. And in the spring of 1987, Freddie and his idol, opera singer Montserrat Caballé, so sorry if I messed that up, began, they worked on a joint album called Barcelona, and that was released in October of 1988. And at the they had a joint concert, and that was the last performance of Freddie. So his final years. By 1987, he was really suffering from the AIDS. And he told Jim that he understood if he wanted to leave because of the AIDS, and Jim told him that he loved Freddie and that he wasn't leaving. He wasn't going anywhere.
Aww.
I know. And people stayed with Freddie. David was the only one of his exes throughout his life that didn't stick around. Like, they stayed friends with him.
Aww.
And Jim says that they would probably still be together if he was alive today.
Aww.
And in 1989, it was confirmed to him in a small circle that he had AIDS. He kept it private, though. He was continuing to lose weight. He was looking kind of haggard. He just really didn't look like himself at the end. And he worked until he just couldn't anymore. And he recorded the songs The Miracle and Innuendo. And they were on his last albums. And it was basically a direct reflection of kind of what he was going through at the time. So if you hear those albums, that's what it is. It was really hard for the band to know that something was up. But they stood by him till the end. And they all guessed what it was, even though they were told it was a liver disease. Even though he was sick, he could still sing all the way up until the end. And in 1990, his final public appearance was at the Brit Awards, when Queen accepted the award for the outstanding contribution to British music. And the acceptance speech was given by Brian instead of Freddie. Even though everybody expected Freddie to speak, Freddie only said, "Thank you, good night."
Did he go up on stage with the rest of the band?
He did.
Okay.
He did. He went up there. So everyone thought Freddie was going to say something, but it was Brian. And that was his last public appearance. And he wouldn't die until late 1991. So on November 23rd of 1991, Freddie's official statement concerning his disease aired out in paper, and he died the next day from bronchopneumonia caused by the HIV infection. His body was cremated. Only the nearest were present for his funeral, and Mary Austin is the only person to know where Freddie's ashes are buried.
Oh, wow.
And his entire estate got left to Mary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the full body chills are back again.
I know. So after death, just 5 months after his death, a tribute concert was held in his honor. And many famous artists, along with the remaining Queen members, performed to raise awareness for AIDS education. And this organization was formed, the Mercury Phoenix Trust. And that was formed by Brian, Roger, and Jim Beach, the band manager. In his memory, the organization continues to raise money for HIV and AIDS all over the world. And according to the website, since it has been established in 1992, it has raised more than $16 million for more than 700 AIDS and HIV related projects. Aww. So
I'm getting
his legacy is
like top down, just like over and over, just waves of chills, just like chill, like all up in my arms and legs. Aww.
And very few people cover Queen songs because you can't be Freddie Mercury.
How can anyone cover that vocal register?
You can't. And generation after generation of people love Queen. I mean, think about it. He died in 91. We were not born until 2 years after that.
Mm-hmm. And we're still singing Queen songs.
And we know all the words. So, Queen is actually still touring. Hold on. Sings for Queen now. It's, I believe, Adam Lambert.
Oh, I think I saw something about that recently.
Yeah, there is like an entire documentary on how they ended up finding Adam Lambert, but he has an amazing vocal range.
Yeah, he does.
But he actually tours with Queen now to sing all of Freddie's songs.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a very interesting visual because Adam Lambert is like maybe a decade or so older than us. Touring with guys who were like active in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's an amusing mental picture. I'm sure they sound amazing still. It's just
they do. Let me see how old Adam Lambert.
I feel like he's not that much.
He looks fabulous. He's 42.
Okay, so yeah, about it. He's barely over a decade older than us.
Yeah.
No, I need to look at Adam Lambert.
He looks wonderful. That makeup, though.
Oh, yeah.
So,
his eyebrows are to die for.
Right? So, Queen still lives on. Freddie's legacy lives on. There will never be another Freddie.
Absolutely.
And that's all I have. I know we didn't talk about pictures or anything, but I do want you to see, like, the bottom two pictures.
Mm-hmm.
those are pictures from Live Aid.
Mhm.
And look at how many people are there. On top of the millions watching on TV.
Again, like, this is the only concert I would risk the crowd crush for. Because just looking at this picture gives me anxiety.
Would you rather be at the very front, where you have your front open, but everyone's behind you? Would that give you
Yes.
less anxiety?
I think so. And then I'd be, like, up close to the stage. So that would just
Right.
make it better. Because, like, when we went to the Josh Turner concert, we were on the ground, but in the front row.
Yeah.
And I was fine. Because I had, like, space in front of me.
Yeah.
God, I don't even know how you
also-
could see from that far away. Like,
Look
the
at him
very
and
back.
Mary. Look at him and Mary. Is she not pretty?
She's very pretty. They did a good job with the casting in the movie.
They
For her.
really did.
Honestly, that
For the
whole
whole
movie had
movie.
great casting. Like, Rami Malek did such a great job as Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
And honestly, the other band members look exactly like the real band members.
Yes. They did such a good job with the casting. I've also been looking at this picture. I assume that's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
That he's just, like,
standing
chilling
next to
with.
Michael Jackson. Yeah.
I've been looking at that one
Because
too.
why not?
It's like the two coolest people of the time.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, this was great, Emma.
Thanks. How long did I run? Oh, just an hour and a half. Look at me.
Look at you. Look at you.
Look at me. I was afraid.
What, that would be like
I was
4 hours.
I just have a bad habit, apparently. I get a little time blind when I'm researching. I'm like, oh, this is so important. And I put it in there and I'm like, 4 hours later, you're like, please shut up.
No, you did really good. I think you got a lot of really good, important information.
Yeah. I hope I did his story justice, because there's like a lot. There are more albums that I didn't even talk about because they were putting one out a year. I mean, holy
They
shit.
had a ton of albums and a ton of songs.
Yeah. And God, think of all the music that we would have had he not died from AIDS. I mean,
Yeah, that's...
how...
I have a similar feeling about my next person I'll be talking about next week. How the world could potentially be different if they had not died.
Yeah. All
when
the
they
what
did.
ifs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you'll have to wait till next week to learn about that person.
Oh no. Well, we should get into socials.
Yeah, let's do socials.
Cool. You can find us on Facebook,
Ill-Equipped History Podcast Group and page
TikTok,
at Ill-Equipped History,
Gmail,
ill-equippedhistory@gmail.com,
Instagram,
at Ill-Equipped History,
and Patreon.
patreon.com/ill-equippedhistory, where for $5 a month you can get access to bonus episodes. We did a Pride Month bonus episode for June, and we covered Marsha P. Johnson and the Stonewall riots, and it's great.
Yeah. And if you sign up, we'll send you stickers.
Yes, you get
Who
both
doesn't
of our
love
stickers.
A rectangle and a circle.
Yeah, and they have our
Yeah.
logo on it. It's great. Emily, we have a logo.
We have a logo. I made that.
All by yourself.
All by myself. So, I guess, be loving like Freddie, and fat bottom girls make the rock and roll go round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Words to live by.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Okay, bye.
okay, bye.